Hey all students, I am Captain H. Sudarshan. I am working for AMET for the past 6 months now. Earlier I have been there with other institutions as well. Today's topic will be about bridge resource management, the unit 4, and we will be going through a topic called automatic identification system, AIS. Now, as the name suggests, let us see what does this AIS automatically identifies. This AIS, automatic identification system, is a shipboard broadcast transponder system. That means it is able to send signals to all other ships in the vicinity as well as receive the signals from other ships. So, in order to do this, we are going to use the common VHF channel for sending all these signals. Though I talked about sending, we means an user is not actually going to do anything. The equipment on its own sends signals and receives. So, this AIS, the regulation for carriage of this type of equipment comes under SOLAS regulation 5, and we can see that a phased implementation was carried out from 2002 to 2008. What are the objectives of AIS? Safety of life at sea, safety and efficiency of navigation, and finally protecting the marine environment. The main purpose of AIS, as we talked about, exchange of information from ships to other ships and from ships to shore stations. So, the main purpose will be to help in identification of the ships which are in the vicinity, so which will assist in tracking of different targets, and the most important, we could say that it will assist in the search and rescue operation. In addition to all of this, when we talked about exchange of information, it means to say that we as an user, as an operator, are not going to manually do the exchange of information. It is done automatically. We talked about VHF channels being used as a means of communication in AIS. The two frequencies, as you can see, 161.975 megahertz, otherwise channel 87 Bravo, and the next frequency 162.025 megahertz, channel 88 Bravo. So, the most important of VHF communication will be that it will be able to bend along big targets, or especially while transiting rivers, if there are any bends, the VHF signal is able to bend and we are able to get the data or target information. Most important, again I keep repeating, without the manual operator trying to get in information, this is done automatically by the equipment. So, this AIS, automatic identification system, there is three types of data or stored in this AIS. Instead of saying stored, I could say that there are some fixed data which need to be stored and some variable data which needs to be stored at every voyage. So, let us just look at the different types of data which are being stored in AIS. One is static data. Static data, as you can see, these are the data which will remain constant throughout the life of the ship unless a major conversion of a ship takes place. So, this will include something like MMSI, length and other points. Let us go to this dynamic information. Dynamic information will be the one, since the word dynamic, this will be changing. So, that would naturally include the navigational status, and these data, they are updated from the ship's sensors. We will talk a little bit in detail about this static, dynamic and voyage related data. Voyage related data, by the name itself, indicates that it has to be updated at the start of every voyage. Let us see the few data which comes under static data, like MMSI, call sign and name, IMO number of the vessel, the type of ship, the length and beam, and location of the position fixing system. As part of the dynamic data, we can see that ship's position, course over ground, speed over ground, all these data will be taken from the position fixing equipment, and heading from gyro compass, and all this information will be updated to the AIS through various equipments. The navigational status of the vessel, meaning whether it is underway or whether she is restricted in her ability, or she is at anchor, or she is moored, or she is aground, all these navigational status are also updated before the start of the voyage. In voyage related data, we can see that all data pertaining to the voyage, like port of destination, port of departure, the ETA, the route, the type of cargo, number of crew, ship's draft, all these data come under voyage related data, which has to be updated by the officer of watch prior departure any voyage. In addition to static, dynamic, voyage related data, there are short safety related messages also, which generally the shore station which is equipped with AIS can send us regarding any navigational information, any issues pertaining to any danger like sighting of an iceberg or maybe any containers lost, it could be anything. So, similar to an SMS ashore, they can inform us or inform all the ships in the vicinity through the safety related messages. The display of AIS data. The minimum display will consist of bearing, range and name of a selected ship. Other different types of target data, we can scroll up and down on the menu and get those information. In the graphical display, we have different types of target. In the sense, first we have the sleeping target. It is not actually sleeping, by the way, only that we are aware of the presence of these targets without any information about those targets, akin to a radar display, where we get a minimum target display on the screen without any information. An activated target. If suppose you want to know a little bit more information about a particular target, then we have a activated target which on enabling will give us the speed and course over ground and their heading. Selected target. If suppose we again to that activated target, if we select it, and some of the AIS models we can go double click on it to get this type of data. This type of data will give in all information about the ships, in the sense CPA, TCPA, the destination, ETA, draft of the other vessels also will be found out using this selected target. If any CPA limits or TCPA limits have been set, then the dangerous target alarm will be given. Finally, any targets which is lost will be displayed as lost target. In the sense, a symbol will be displayed to show that the target has been lost and we have to again activate it to get the information about that particular target. AIS should always be in operation. Always be in operation means it should always be switched on, whether we are at sea or whether we are at anchor or in the port. It should never be switched off. In case due to security reasons, if I should say if the master decides that an AIS equipment has to be switched off, he can switch it off, but that will also necessitate to make entries in the logbooks the reason for having switched it off. The inherent limitations of AIS. We are now well aware that only if an AIS is fitted on board, we will be able to get the information about the other vessels. This means that any vessels which are not mandated to carry AIS, their presence we will not know. Like leisure craft, fishing boats and warships, they need not necessarily carry an AIS. So, we are well aware that an AIS picture which is given on the screen does not necessarily mean that all the vessels in the vicinity are displayed. So, this should be in the back of mind of all OOWs while navigating using an AIS, since AIS is only an additional tool and not the standalone function. AIS for collision avoidance. Since AIS is not fitted on all types of ships, it should never be used as an equipment for collision avoidance. Should never be used, because in the recent past we have also heard of VHF aided collisions. Similar cases with AIS could also arise. We know that different types of ships are not equipped with AIS. In addition to this, the composition of a watch should not be decreased due to the AIS being fitted. Now, AIS which are fitted on shore stations, through text messaging they are able to give out meteorological, navigational information and hydrological information. These type of information with reference to navigation would be very useful to the mariners, because all these equipments instantly give out information similar to an SMS on a mobile phone. Voyage data recorder. As the name suggests, it is going to record the full data which is being experienced by the vessel throughout the voyage. So, what is the main purpose of VDR? The main purpose of VDR is to record and store the ship's critical parameters for reconstruction, especially after an incident. The main reason will be to analyze this and get information so that it can be used for training purposes. The voyage data recorder, the complete system will consist of the interface with the sources of input signals, their processing and encoding, the recording medium, the playback equipment later on which will be needed, and the power supply. A dedicated power source is also part of the VDR requirement. So, something like a black box which is used on board aeroplanes, this voyage data recorder will be storing all critical parameters of the ship during the voyage. Now, let us see the benefits of VDR. Accident investigation, response assessment, training support, promotion of best practices, and finally reduction in insurance cost. This reduction in insurance cost will be the final factor which will be used by the owners for fixing a VDR on board their ships earlier on, much earlier on when this started. Now, let us see what are the units or what are the different equipments which are connected to this VDR unit. It will include the feedback from radar, the radar screen, a GPS, echo sounder, speed log, autopilot, VHF audio. So, these are the main units which will be connected to the data acquisition unit of VDR for storing different types of information. Information recorded on the VDR: date and time, heading, depth, the different alarms, RPM, speed and the audio communication. The different modules of VDR are data management unit, the audio module, final recording unit and remote alarm module. In addition, we also have the replay station. Let us see a little bit in detail about the different modules. The data management unit will acquire and process all the data, and they will be stored in the formats which is specified for them. So, the most important thing about data management unit will be to interface all these different types of data into a final picture when it is being replayed. The audio module, so naturally it is going to record data, no, it is going to record sound from various places on board. Various places on board in the sense mostly pertaining to navigation, that is the bridge. So, on the bridge wings, near the radar station, on the chart work and various other locations inside the bridge, so that all communication is recorded. The final recording unit, as you can see, it is a crash survivable, pressure tight, fire and penetration resistant to store the required data. The ideal location for this capsule, which is a part of final recording unit, is generally kept on the monkey island or on the wings so as to facilitate the removal. The remote alarm module, it consists of a small panel which is connected to the data management unit. In case of any alarm, in case of any system shutdown or system not working properly, then an alarm will be given out so that the OOW can look into it. The optional module of VDR, the replay station, it is used to download and replay the recorded data. The software which is used to visualize the different data can be coordinated or synchronized with all other types of data which are being recorded and played simultaneously. The float-free recording medium should be installed in a float-free capsule. So, this capsule, as we have discussed earlier, is fitted on the monkey island or on the bridge wings so that it can be recovered easily. It should have a period of at least 6 months. The data which has been stored should be recorded in that float free capsule. To minimize the risk of damage, it is kept in a fire resistant, pressure resistant and deep sea water resistant capsule. It should be capable of transmitting an initial locating signals and the homing signal for at least 48 hours. Be capable of being accessed following an incident but secured against any electronically manipulated change or deletion of recorded data. The SVDR, the Simplified Voyage Data Recorder, this arose mainly because of the cost which was involved in making a VDR to be installed by the owners. So, this factor necessitated SVDR to be introduced since it was recording a bare minimum of information as per IMO, so that any important information will not be left out. Now, let us just see a few information which an VDR and an SVDR will be recording. We can see that the first few information like position, audio, speed and heading, EGDIS data, radar data, all this type of information is stored in both VDR and SVDR. Since it is a simplified voyage data recorder, certain information like echo sounder, main alarms, hull opening, wind speed and direction, watertight and fire door status, these information need not be stored in an SVDR. The general operational requirements of a VDR is that it continuously should maintain records of pre-selected data relating to the status and output of the ship's equipment and command and control of the ship. VDR testing, there is no testing which is done by the ship staff. A performance test is done. It is generally done annually or during a radio survey, and a certificate to that effect will be issued by the competent authority. So, students, we have just seen two equipments on the bridge, AIS and VDR. I hope this lecture would be of use to you. Thanks very much.